Hey guys, it's Mr. Hing. Yeah, I hope you're well. This is the video that we are continuing regarding paper one preparation, okay, or revision, whatever you want to call it. In today's lesson, we are not doing highest common factor and LCM, which we did in another video. You can go have a look at that. Today, we're going to be doing the integers. All right, and then there's other videos that will cover the other topics. Just go have a look in the playlist of where it is in the YouTube channel. So today we're going to have a look at integers. Okay, so would you follow along with me and tackle integers? Okay, let's do this together. So guys, the first thing or just some notes that I want to bring our attention to is that when we are doing integers, something very important is this number line. Another thing that is important is knowing what happens when we times two integers together. If there's a positive and a negative, what happens? And if there's a negative and a negative, we timesing, what happens? And also, it also applies to division, these rules. Okay, so the number line is important. The rule about if we timesing and dividing with different signs of the integers, that's important. And also bod mass. Remember bod mass? Bod mass refers to brackets of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. And you you uh, you answer the question in that following order, right? You tackle brackets first, then the of, then division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction if they are all involved. So what is gonna happen is I'm just gonna go explain these three things over here. So the number line, what happens over here, and BODMAS. So remember, with a number line, guys, what happens with integers if we at -1 and we are minusing, right? So let's say, for example, we have a question of -1 -3. We're going to go backwards, right? But if this happens, -1, and we minus, and you see a bracket this time. Whenever you see a bracket, you know that there is some type of multiplication that's about to happen. Please, 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 please remember that. These brackets over here, when you see brackets, you should think about applying this rule over here. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. Now that actually brings me to this over here. If we have let's say for instance it was a -3, so we're keeping it very similar to that. What is going to end up happening is it's -1, but now guys, it's not minus a -3 like we did here. As soon as we see a bracket, we need to think about more than just the number line going left or right. We need to think about timesing or dividing with different signs or the same signs. We need to know what happens. So when it is a positive and a positive, the number will stay positive. When it's a minus and a minus, the number becomes a positive. When it's a minus and a plus, or vice versa, it stays negative. So let's see how this applies here. So if we have -1 minus, and now what did I say? This refers to basically a multiplication. So whenever you see this and no number in front, we think of an imaginary 1. So minus imaginary 1 -1 times -3. Let's first do the numbers. 1 times 3 is 3, and a minus 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 is a plus. So we keep this, right? -1, and then -1 times -3 will be +3. Okay, and what happens over here? Now we go back to and we think about our number line. If we at -1 over here, now we are plusing 3. We'll go 1, 2, 3, and we will get to 2. Or you don't have to write the positive, but we'll get to a +2 over there. Okay, so let's jump right into these examples. So if I have 2 plus 3, we're still on the number line. We can just work along here. So it's 2 plus 3. Okay, that's 5. We got that. And then -6. So it's a 5. I just simplified it for us here. 5 minus 6. Now we work on our number line. 5 minus 6, you can even put in the calculator. It gives me -1. Okay, so this is my final answer over here. All right, let's move on. Can you see we have a bracket this time, guys? So what needs to happen is it's going to be 2 minus, sorry, let me just rewrite that again. So what's going to happen is this is going to be affected, but we can simplify this side so long. So 2 minus 6, remember, we can work along the number line now. So this is going to be minus 4. And then we have, let's simplify this. Remember, if there's no number in front, there's an imaginary 1. So minus 1 times by minus 6. So it's going to become a positive 6. And then minus 4 plus 6, that is just going to equal 2. Okay, let's carry on. So this is our answer over here. So let's move on. In this case over here, we have 6. And now, guys, what happens is we have a divide and we have a negative. So there's no bracket. But remember when I said timesing or dividing, whether it's indicated by something like this, where it's indicated something just by timesing or bracket, whatever is happening here, if it's times or divide, and we need to pay attention to our sign. So 6, what's 6 divided by 3 normally? It's 2, but because is a imaginary positive here, positive and a negative will give me a negative. So this is the answer. Okay. Right, let's move on to letter D. So over here, what's happening is we have 2 squared plus, again, bracket. We should think about our how to change our sign, and then divide. Again, we should think about our sign. So let's just simplify it for now. So 2 squared is 4. Okay, now let's do this. Plus and a negative. Plus and negative, or vice versa, stays with a negative. So it will be, remember, imaginary 1. So positive negative will become negative, and 1 times 2 is 2. So it's negative 2 divided by negative 2. So let's first simplify the top. So 4 minus 2 is 2 over negative 2. So what's 2 divided by 2? It's 1. However, there was a negative sign here, so it should be negative 1 as my final answer. Okay. All right, and then the last one before I move on. Okay, so we have this 6 plus 2 minus a square root of 25 over 3 minus 2. So what we can do is we can simplify these, and then we'll simplify the square root and simplify the bottom. So 6 plus 2, that is going to give me 8. So minus, now what's the square root of 25? Guys, in this case here, we are going to, remember, we are going to keep the negative sign. Okay, so square root of 25 is 5. So it's not just going to be, it's not a positive 5, but in this case, it is a negative 5. Okay, please don't write positive. Okay, that is not correct. And then divide it by 3 minus 2 is 1. So that's going to equal 3 over 1, because 8 minus 5 is 3, and that is going to equal 3. Okay. So, guys, that brings. I just wanted to highlight what happens with the signs that possibly change. Okay, and also how to use the number line. So that really comes into play when we have types of questions with algebra, which I think I'm just gonna make as my next video because it's so important, the sign. So, say for instance, I have x and minus 4, and then a x and a, let's make it minus 2. So we need to know what happens with the signs, because again, there's brackets, there's timesing, and so on and so on. So what ends up happening is our signs might change, and we need to again use the number line. So integers, the rules don't just come into play with just numbers, but it also comes into play with your algebra. Okay, so this is actually, I'm going to make a video on this next, and hopefully I'll post it later today. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Again, any questions, please post them in the comments.